fairy tales about chakras or energy or the power of belief.
You wonder what I see in your future? Possibility.
Oh, I see an episode of Cordkillers!
Oh, hey, welcome to Cordkillers. This is our little show that reports the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so that you can watch what you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever device you want. Me, I'm Tom Merritt. Who are you?
Me? I'm Brian Brushwood. That guy we just saw? It's a little side-riding project of our friend, C. Robert Cargill. You might have heard of him. He's called William Shatner. No, it's Doctor Strange trailer dropped this last week, and we couldn't be more excited for your friend of mine, C. Robert Cargill. We should have him on the show. We next week we have Dan Trachtenberg on, who did 10 Cloverfield Lane. I'm sure we'll get Cargill on, but none of that matters, because who do we have today, Tom Merritt?
Oh, we got Roberto on. Welcome back to the show, Roberto Gonzalez.
Hey! Roberto Villegas.
It's okay.
It's close. Real close.
Close enough, Tom.
Gonzalez Villegas.
Okay.
I mean,
At
a minor shade.
At least it's not Vincent. At least it's not like what Justin does.
Yeah, Justin.
Justin will
keeps
always
calling-
call
but
me
it's
by my
Vincent
name.
404 in the chat room. That's an understandable confusion.
Right, fair enough. But still, like, no matter how many times he uses my real name, he will always like, "Hey, Vincent." Like, okay, Tom. No problem, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Roberto Villegas, my so-called 8-bit life.
Yeah.
The man behind the movie draft updates and regular on Cordkillers. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
We are going to talk about Netflix earnings reports later in the show, but don't go away because we start with our primary target. So Sling TV has got a couple of things. One is an official launched product. The other is a leaked product. Let me tell you about the official launched product. Sling TV has added Fox channels. So FX, Fox Sports Network, Fox Sports 1, National Geographic, your local Fox channels in some markets. And all you have to do is buy the $20 base package and you get Fox right alongside your Turner nets like AMC, HDTV, and Food. Now, you notice I didn't mention ESPN because ESPN is in a different base package, which gives you ESPN and ESPN networks and Disney Channel and whatever ABC Family is called now. I think it's Freeform. Also for $20 a month, along with AMC, HDTV, Food, CNN, and etc. So you can subscribe to both for $40 and get all the channels, some of them twice, in your strip. The second thing comes from That's Not Funny. They found some documentation filed with the FCC describing a new device from Sling TV called Air TV. It would take the existing M1 Slingbox hardware, add a TV tuner, then replace the Slingbox client with Sling TV. So the idea is instead of using Slingbox to watch your over-the-air broadcast channels on your phone or device or whatever, you would use your Sling TV app, say on your Roku, to watch your over-the-air channels integrated into that Sling TV lineup right next to Fox Sports Net and AMC twice if you're subscribing to both base packages. This is a little bit crazy here, Brian.
Well, okay, so if we're going to be charitable, we're going to say that what they're doing is they're offering more choice. You know, some people like the taste of cola, but maybe they want more. Maybe they're more of a Pepsi guy, or maybe they're more of a Coke guy. So right now we've only been offering Coke. We're going to offer Pepsi, and Pepsi has kind of a foxy flavor to it. But as you and I discussed before, that's not really analogous because what people want is all of the channels, right? Or at least both flavors. If you're into sports, you probably want to be able to watch all of the games of the sports that you appreciate. So it's not so much like a Coke versus Pepsi thing, but it's more like a, hey, you know what people love is Coke. So we're going to have two offerings. One is caffeine-free Coke. It's got everything you love about Coke, none of the caffeine. The other is Diet Coke. It's got all that caffeine you love of Coke, but none of the sugar. And of course, what people want is a freaking Coke. Just give me a freaking Coke.
I would love to have been in the meetings for like the contracts that got signed to get this deal going. I would love to have like been with Fox and like, all right, you can have our channels, but so help us if you put ESPN and Disney on that lineup. Like, I would love to have been like how all these deals make it, because ultimately, because this is all deals.
This is rampant speculation on my part. My guess is that some part of the team has been working to make this Fox thing happen, and some other part of the team said, well, in order to do this, we would have to raise our fees. per this other part of our plan, we're not going to raise our fees. We're going to keep it at $20 a month because that's what our thing is. So it's like, that's great that you landed the Fox deal. We can't afford to put all of it in the plan. We're just going to offer 2 different versions of the plans. And for all we know, maybe everyone prefers Coke over Pepsi in their minds.
And don't forget because I didn't tell you, the Fox plan gives you the ability to watch on 3 devices simultaneously. The ESPN plan only lets you watch on 1 device simultaneously. So I'm guessing due to this implementation that if I'm already watching Sling TV on 1 device and I go to a second device and I turn it on, I'll be able to watch Fox. I'll be able to watch one of the AMC networks, but not the other AMC network. And I'll have to guess which one actually lets me watch on the second device.
Yeah, well, and again, like there's part of me that wants to praise the fact that they're continuing to tinker with the formula and that it's through experimentation like this that they figured out what consumers really want. But on the flip side, it just seems like that's a really unfortunate distraction given their message was fairly unmuddied. We are the closest thing to cable-free cable that you're ever going to get. We're super cheap, and we work on all devices. Now, that's less the case. And that doesn't even bring in the fact that, we'll talk about this in a second.
Yeah, we'll talk about the hardware in a second. But this offering, I think Roberto is right. Like every one of these, PlayStation Vue and Sling TV, they're all bending over backwards to make it happen. So they all have their priorities. With Sling, it's we want all devices to work the same way. If you get a channel on one device, you should get the channel on the other device. And it was like gravy that Fox said, we'll even let you do up to 3 devices. And I guess AMC and Turner had already said that was okay. So they're like, yeah, sure. Sometimes I will go to a channel and it won't show me the Lifetime movie because that one's not licensed for streaming, and that's confusing. And some channels will let me pause and rewind, and some won't, and that's confusing. But Sling says we're prioritizing the fact that the offering is the same on every channel. Whereas PlayStation Vue, they have a 28-day DVR. You can pause, rewind, whatever you want. It's no problem. But not everything they have on the PlayStation Network or on the PlayStation itself shows up on your iPad. Not everything shows up on the Fire TV the same way, although most of it does. So they prioritized the operation of the service over the availability of the channels, but none of them can get these networks to give them a straight on, like, yes, here's your feed. You can put it wherever you need to put it.
And keep in mind, this isn't a case where the bad guys are just the content holders. A lot of times they're bound by previous agreements that are locked down by region, that are locked down with some of them have specific language saying they can offer their stuff to any kind of over-the-top
program
network.
Providers. A good example of that is Hulu can't show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. commercial free, even on its commercial free tier, because the show itself has a problem with that.
Well, because I'm even curious, because you mentioned that some of the local Fox channels on that. I'm curious what regions they didn't get. You know, like who couldn't they make, strike those deals with?
It's only like 4 or 5 regions. It's probably the Fox owned and operated channels.
I mean,
so it's like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago,
right,
etc.
But Tom, wouldn't it be great if on our Sling service we could have some magical way to also watch all of our local over-the-air stations?
Well, that would be amazing. If only I could buy a device that was separated from everything else I own that would let me do that.
Oh, you mean you're talking about like a Sling box, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
but the
that's
problem
the Sling
is
TV box that I was mentioning, which is basically a Sling box, but instead of you using the Sling client, you use Sling TV. So, I mean, Brian, I think this is dead in the water for most people. I'm sure some people will buy it, but we've seen Simple TV try this. We've seen Tableau try this. Nobody wants to buy a separate device to take their over-the-air channels and put it on another device like a Roku. I mean, some people do. I know there's a few of you out there that do it, but it doesn't seem to be catching on.
So this is, you are 100% correct, because what people don't want is this increased balkanization of a billion different apps and trying to remember what they could watch on one device. But the fact that this goes onto the same Sling app, again, I'm not going to say this is a compelling offering right now for most people. I don't think that the demand is there, but I can see a world where right now this is like you'll have to buy this box, right? And then you'll have to configure it and do all that crap. I could see a world 5 years from now where you pay some, we'll say it's a little bit more. Let's say it's $30 a month. It's Sling Premier. It's just like cable, but you don't have to pay cable prices service, right? You pay a monthly fee. They send you the box, you attach it, and it's done. And you don't have to know, because the reason we have this insane Rube Goldberg setup is because we're trying to conquer the same kludgy legislation that Aereo tried to defeat, right? Now, Aereo got shut down, so we're trying it again with with this device to do that to that. If we can get to a point where this is all behind the scenes, it's all in the black box. All I know is I pay for Sling and I get all the channels I care about. And even though some of them are over-the-top networks, some of them are validated apps, some of them are, behind the scenes, some of them are recorded over the air and DVR'd and all that stuff. I mean, at that point, I think that this will be a compelling offering, but I do agree that this right now, this is hey, in order to get to that point, we have to establish that everyone agrees that every piece of this thing, each of these 5 lions are totally legal. Oh, wait, did we mention they formed Voltron? I'm sorry. You said the lions were legal. Are they suddenly illegal now that they formed Voltron? That's what I'm saying.
I look at this and I see a repeat of Dish and DirecTV, especially Dish, right? Because this is still Dish. In the early or in the 90s saying, yeah, you can get all the broadcast networks. I know we don't have the rights to give them to you over satellite, but you just hook up your antenna. And sometimes it works. And if you're one of those people, and I'm one of those people who's lucky enough to live in a place where you can get all that stuff reliably over the air, it's awesome. But even where I live, sometimes the signal messes up and it doesn't record properly. And a lot of people live in places where the over-the-air broadcasting is just not great. And let me tell you, the broadcasters are going to spend as little money as possible to make sure their over-the-air signals are meeting the minimum requirements to keep that license.
Tom, you realize... I have a giant irony alert coming up, and I'm pretty sure this is textbook irony, because you realize the solution for your problem that you can't get all the over-the-air channels, traditionally that's solved with a community antenna, that the whole community would have one shared aerial that they'd be able to get, right? That uses a coax cable to plug in. That's why cable works, is from the CATV connection. So wouldn't it be ironic if the ultimate cord-cutting solution was to use a community antenna so you could plug in a coax cord to get all the things you want?
It's a great idea, Brian. You should put that together. No, and here's the thing. Like, you laugh. That's how cable got started. Yeah. And it went from there to the broadcasters saying, well, hold on, you're making money off of our free over-the-air channels. We've gone from wanting the law to require you to carry us to wanting the law to force you to negotiate with us for fair rates to carry us. And that's we're seeing that legacy play out again, which is, Fox says, okay, if we own these channels, we'll say, yes, you can carry these over the air, but it's complicated because we don't own these other channels, and they are not over the air, but on Sling over the internet. So we'll work out those deals. So it's coming slowly, but remember, PlayStation Vue has all 4 networks available in the markets that it operates, and not every market has all 4, again, because they're working out these deals as they go, but everybody wants the broadcast networks to be delivered over the internet alongside CNN and Bravo, et cetera, because you don't have to deal with the vagaries of over-the-air broadcast. So it's just a more reliable signal that way.
I mean, that's where we're at right now, is just figuring out the deals. Like, we're at the point where it's a matter of how much money, they're going to pay Fox, they're going to pay ESPN, or, ABC, whatever. Like, that's the point we're at right now. And that's what I would love to be in those meetings. I want to know, how is it that got to that point where I was like, okay, fine, we'll take you, Fox, we'll put with everything else, we'll just leave ESPN and ABC out of this package. Like, I just want to know how, because again, it's just a matter of throwing money at the problem. And I get it, you may not want to raise the price to 20, but I mean, even if it was like 35, that's a little bit less than 40. It's just such a weird thing of like, well, I got to buy 2 services, and now I have essentially 2 packages that have the exact same channels, and I'm just buying this package simply for Fox and their channels, or simply for ABC and their channels.
I mean, I wonder if the problem is that Fox said, we'll let you carry our channels if we're part of the basic package.
Right.
And ESPN said, we'll let you carry our channel as long as our channels aren't up against competing sports channels. Such as Fox Sports 1.
It's a deal, and it's like, that's like, we're at that point now where we're just sort of getting, because ultimately what's going to happen is that this is sort of where we're going, delivery of TV over IP, whether it be the internet, whether it be just some other type of protocol, something going through that pipe, and it's just a matter of working out all these deals to,
I'll tell you what, there's only one deal I want to work out. And that's between me and you. Not you. I'm talking about the listener. One of you is jogging right now at home. Another one of you is doing the dishes. Someone else is taking the kids to school. And you just got a little bit freaked out because I was exactly right there. Whoa, it's okay. Man. It's okay. I'm reaching out through time and space to remind you that Cordkillers is a listener-supported project. We hopefully bring value to you. We hope that we enlighten your day. And we hope that if we were physically there, whispering into your ear, keeping you entertained and informed, that you would, I don't know, buy us a Diet Coke apiece. That'd be like $1. $1 for an hour worth of us talking? That seems about right. And so you can do that if you head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers. Go ahead and sign up. Join the, we're close, Tom, 1946.
No.
54 away from that magic 2K.
The war is over.
Yeah, I'll say.
1946.
Look, man, we would love it if we hit 2,000 backers. Head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers and throw us a buck an episode. That's all we ask. That's a phrase we made up.
Not Dan Carlin. Let's move on to signals intelligence. Dan Carlin totally made up that phrase. Okay, so Amazon has changed its subscription. Actually, it hasn't changed its subscription options, actually. It's added subscription options. So here's the deal. Amazon is making Amazon Prime, which costs $99 a year right now, available at a monthly rate. So you can buy Amazon Prime, which gets you the 2-day free shipping, Amazon Video, Amazon Music, the Kindle Lending Library, the unlimited photo storage for $10.99 a month. If you're like, I don't want to pay for a year at once. I just want to pay monthly so I can cancel anytime. $10.99 a month.
I get it, man. Paying $100 a year is a big obligation. We're going to be cool. We're going to let you pay us $120 a year for the exact same thing.
Well, no. We're going to be cool and say, you can pay us $10.99 now, and then you don't have to ever pay us again. Pay us next month, still $10.99.
Which, by the way, think about it.
Great deal.
Holiday season. Let's say you have, and your dorm, you have cable all the time. You got the HBOs and whatnots, but then you come home and you're at your parents' place and you can't get access to the content you want. 1 month, coincidentally, right around the holiday season, when you do all your shopping and whatever, and get the awesome Prime shipping and then say backseas. That's not a bad deal if you're just getting in and out.
If you're someone who's like, I don't want the Prime shipping, I don't buy things on Amazon, I don't want photo storage, I don't want your stupid music, all I want is to watch all the episodes of Mozart in the Jungle, you have an option too now. You can pay $8.99 a month. So here's the deal. You can pay for a year of Prime and get everything for $99. You can pay by month and cancel anytime, so you don't have to pay for a whole year, $10.99 a month. Or you can pay for just the video, $8.99 a month. By the way, UK already had this option, but they're going to start promoting it more. It's £5.99, and Germany and Japan are getting this option to pay just for the video. And now Amazon has a video product that is $1 a month cheaper than Netflix.
So, and boom, you just got to the real reason for all of this. This is tailor-made for the price increase, and I'm sure that they knew that this was going to happen sooner or later for all the grandfathered customers.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, they're $1 cheaper than Netflix, and they're like, or, go ahead and just... Here's the genius part. Is because if you go for that $8.99 and you're like, okay, I'm going to switch over to Amazon and watch their offerings. It's cheaper than Netflix is what you lock into your brain. And then you go to buy it and you're like, if I just pay the exact same amount and prepay for the whole year,
I get everything.
I also get the shipping, right? And I use it enough that, okay, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Because I almost was like, I'm surprised this hasn't come up sooner. Like I was, out of all the times I paid for Prime, I pay for it, per year. I was surprised that they just are barely offering like a video only service.
Well, mainly because it has been a very counterintuitive strategy, and we've talked about this in all the iterations of the show for the past half decade. But there's no doubt that it's worked.
Don't get wrong. It's well worth it. It's well if you buy things off Amazon, if you do all the things there, it is $99 is a steal for everything.
And by the way, in the chat, ICU points out exactly what I proposed to Tom is the monthly video option makes sense. Like, let's say you just want to watch Transparent. Let's say you just want to finally watch that Man in the High Castle thing everyone's talking about for one fee. You do a month and you binge watch, the 5 must-see Amazon Prime shows, and then you're done and you're out. That's an extraordinary value.
Well, that's one. But even the idea, because I know you mentioned, like, yes, $99 a year is way cheaper than $10.99 a month if you do the, calculate it all. A lot of times when you have that sort of big price, people start to get scared. And they you always offered like yearly is 40% off and this.
Well, and there is a dollar value to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. There's a reason that we do that kind of pay as you go format.
The idea of just sort of being able to budget it out. So I am glad that they're offering for Prime. Like I said, I'm really glad they're offering for video. Like I am almost tempted to downgrade to the $8.99 a month just purely for video.
Well, and that's the weird thing, right? Is if you can afford a year, It doesn't matter if you do shipping or video or Kindle, it's the cheapest. It's $8.25 a month to get everything. It is cheaper than any of the individual plans. So even if you just want video, it's $8.99 a month. Lamar Wilson and I on DTNS today, we're talking about this as Amazon's little incubator where they can try out stuff with their Prime subscribers and then move it out. And there's a TechCrunch article that points out that Kindle Unlimited gives you more than what you get from the Kindle lending library included in Amazon Prime. And they were wondering, would this eventually mean that Amazon Prime Video would give you more than if you're just a Prime subscriber? So they would encourage you to want to buy it extra?
Interesting.
Okay, that's
I certainly hope not, but that certainly seems like a shareholder-pleasing strategy.
Well, and it could also be a move towards rolling out Amazon Prime Video in places where they don't offer free shipping. So you can do what Netflix did and turn Amazon Prime Video on in pretty much every country in the world if you want, but they don't have a subscription option for those people until now.
Right.
Well, let's move on and see what the gear is up to. All kinds of gear. Actually, a little update to the Apple TV. They've begun promoting a new feature. We told you about how they added folders and Bluetooth keyboard support. There's now a new feature, a little trick that Siri can do, where you say, watch CBS or watch ESPN, and it will jump not only into that app, but right to the live stream section of that app. A lot of these apps, you pull it up, you get a big menu, and then you have to find live stream and click on it. So if you're using Siri and you just want to watch the live stream, that's what it'll do.
How much of that do you think is, and number one, I think that's a fine feature, and I certainly hope more apps have a live element to it, but how much do you think of it is our desire for some kind of instant gratification, where it's like just in the brief time of navigating to, let's say, the 30 for 30 episode that I really want, I'm going to say, hey, open ESPN, and then open it, I'm like, oh, well, they happen to be talking about O.J. Simpson right now, and that's what I wanted to follow. I think there's real value to that, and I think that's a really organic way to take us to the content we want.
Yeah, Roberto, I mean, I don't know if you even use an Apple TV, but how does this sound to you?
I mean, it sounds cool. I like the idea of any kind of voice. I know you've loved the Amazon, was it the voice?
Oh, sure. On the Fire TV, and now we just got the Echo, and so the only thing I don't love about the Echo is waking up every morning to my daughter screaming, Alexa, 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 stop. But outside of that, I think it's a great idea.
But yeah, I think it's cool that they're adding like serious support like outside of it in general. And there is something, I mean, as much as I don't watch live TV, there is something to be watching live stuff and sort of following it, especially as an event is folding or just a show's happening. Like a lot of times, because I'm sort of time delayed and watching things later, I have to sort of avoid Twitter and every social network.
Yeah.
And so there's something to be able to just say, pull up CBS. Oh, hey, XYZ is on. It's like, okay, cool. I can kind of follow it and be part of the conversation at the same time.
Well, and again, I think we're so close to, I mean, maybe as soon as at the end of this year or 2 years from now, like the moment you turn on your device, it's going to know why you're there.
Right.
It's going to have your behavior patterns.
It's going to know, it's 8 o'clock.
Better Call Saul's coming up. You got 5 minutes. I'm going to start recording it. If you want to watch it straight through as fast as possible without commercials, be back here in 7 minutes. And then just have it queued up and ready to go.
Yeah, because if you want to use the voice support, you want to click the microphone, tell it to do something, and have it do that. And before they did this, you would say, watch CBS, it would launch the CBS app and then just sit there. And then you'd have to be like, oh, okay, yeah, now I got to click around and find the live part. That's annoying. So, and you're right, you guys, a lot of times you just want to jump right in and see what's going on.
Yeah, like turn on CBS and you expect it to go to the live feed. You don't expect it like, oh, here's a menu where now I've got to kind of navigate through that.
It'll be interesting to see how many of these apps incorporate this. Right now, it's works with ESPN, Disney XD, and CBS.
It's just an API. I mean, it's a matter of just developing it, and I'm fairly certain that if it's a feature that people start using, it's like, oh yeah, we support Siri Live. It's like supporting notifications or 3D Touch on the iPhone.
I'll tell you what I want to jump into is a fascinating original narrative piece of fiction about someone from a race of time travelers, and I want it from somebody that I trust, because I like reading. I love the fact that like my friend Andrew Main writes books, and I love the fact that like Patrick Rothfuss, I talk to Eat Fire. I only read books by friends who write awesome stories.
Boy, do I have a book for you then, Brian.
What?
I almost called you Ryan. I don't know what's up with me
Good old Ryan and Gonzalez.
Attorneys at law. I
Ryan Gonzalez
apologize
Lawn.
profusely to
Law
both
and
of
Order.
you. But let me tell you what's great about fiction is I write it down, I look at it several times and make sure that all the names are right.
I imagine you take it to an editor and they're like, love the book, Tom. Well, I'm a little confused about the
That's
names.
why I need you to pre-order Pilot X on Inkshares, because if I get 750 pre-orders, Inkshares will let an editor look over it and make it really good, and they'll market it, and it will be actually published by a real publisher.
I kid you not, for whatever reason, I haven't done this yet. I'm going to do it right now live on the air.
Sweet.
Where do I go?
You go to inkshares.com, search for Pilot X. That should bring it up in the search results. Click on that.
Two words or one word?
2 words, Pilot X.
Okay, Pilot
Well,
X.
1 word and 1 letter, I guess,
okay.
technically speaking.
Wait, X is technically a word, right?
I guess I don't know. I don't know if that would be a word or not, but yeah.
It's spelled
X
EX.
if it's spelled EX, yes,
Yeah.
but it's a letter X, so no, it would be a letter.
All right, well, here,
So
I'm
if that
pre-ordering.
book that Brian was talking about earlier sounds intriguing to you, I'm just asking you to plop down a pre-order. We're close to halfway to the 750 mark. I'm really thrilled that this many people are interested already, and I'm really hoping that in the remainder of the campaign.
By the way, I'm doing the full at $20. You get the paperback, so I'm doing that right now.
Ooh,
I'm
that's going to be
entering-
signed by the author.
Oh man, that'd be great.
It's going to hurt my wrist. Happily hurt.
To Ryan's, love Tom.
All right, I am almost done, and look at that. That's how fast it was.
Damn, that was easy.
I just pre-ordered. I put it in, and it's authorizing. And wait for it, or don't wait for it. You don't have to wait for it. Just press fast forward. All right, it's done, and done.
And I'll get a little notification here in a moment saying Brian Brushwood has ordered your book.
Or
so
Ryan
yeah. Anyway,
Brushwood.
inkshares.com, search for Pilot X. That easy. Fingers crossed that this thing gets published.
Dude, so excited for you, man.
So you guys can read it.
That's fantastic.
Let's move on to the front lines.
Front lines.
Here's that promised earnings report. Netflix added a record 6.74 million new subscribers in Q1. 5.59 million of those are from outside the U.S. market. Remember, this is the first quarter where they flipped on 130 countries at once. So now, 42% of Netflix's customer base is international. In other words, outside of its home market of the United States. Netflix forecasts 2 million new international subs in Q2, alongside 500,000 in the United States. A lot of people think that is depressingly low. Netflix is saying we're reaching saturation. We've got 80 plus million here in the US, and internationally, we got boosted last year by Australia launching, but we expect things to kind of smooth out now.
So we're not there yet, but it is now a possibility. We can now start chatting and speculating about what it looks like when Netflix really does hit total saturation, like as much of the market as they're going to get. What's their play at that point? Is it to start spending less on their programming, or once they own that market, is there some do they create like a 4K or HD?
I'd imagine
they
just
probably
more.
already have all that.
I'd
I don't
imagine
know.
just more services, more content,
VR content.
Well, yeah,
as
just
an add-on
anything to both keep you there and to keep you paying. You know, whether that be giving you certain markets specialized content for their market, or making content specialized for like Hollywood is making a lot of content for China and things like that, because that's the new sort of market coming up.
Sure.
So that's how I see the future, just more and better and
More
specialized.
can't miss shows and movies.
Yeah.
Maybe they can pour a little more into the movie side of thing.
Oh, that would be great. The MPAA's Theatrical Market Statistics Report says theaters had a record year with $38.3 billion taken at the box office. That's up 5% over 2014. United States and Canada generated $11.1 billion with international box office revenues hitting $27.2 billion. Almost 70% of the U.S.-Canada population, that's 235.3 million people, went to the movies at least once in 2015, a 2% increase over 2014. Did they not get the memo that piracy was killing cinema?
No, it's still killing it, Brian. Just think how much bigger these numbers would be if it weren't for piracy.
Yeah, but no. But then the screening room thing that J.J. Abrams loves, and that everyone says, they can use their home theater to see new movies. That's killing it, right? When it comes out.
Oh, we'll be talking to the screening room I think when they say we'll be talking to the screening room, I think it means talking them out of being a business.
Wouldn't that count as their like? How does that revenue get counted? Is that counted as box office
Yeah,
revenue?
well, that's the whole scheme
Right.
of screening room is that they're gonna cut in,
Right.
And so I'm sure they will report the official theater allocated number. I don't know. That's a good question.
That's why the one thing I was reading the article and kind of like, everyone's like, yeah, screening rooms gets completely destroy box office. I go, yeah, maybe from a theater standpoint potentially, but from Hollywood revenue standpoint,
No, I don't even. I think you go to the movies because you want to be in the house.
No, for sure. But I'm saying like if that comes in like that's all still going to Warner Brothers and Paramount. It's not like they're not getting
the honest thing that theaters are worried about is they've been working really hard to get this number of people coming back to the movie theater up, especially the frequent moviegoers that go once a month. And if you give them the screening room option, even though they get a pair of tickets bought for every movie that gets watched on screening room at home, it doesn't build that habit, and they want to build that habit. Plus, they make most of their money off concessions anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazon Studios marketing and distribution chief Bob Burney said that, hey, those are some sweet revenue numbers. We'd like to have some of those numbers ourselves, and said that all of Amazon's films will be released theatrically. In fact, it's not just we'll shove it in some theaters for awards recognition. Amazon promises to market aggressively to bring people to the theaters. They didn't say it outright, but they sort of hinted around that they might be willing to play with the 90-day exclusive the theaters usually demand. Amazon says it plans to release 16 movies a year and is screening 5 movies at the Cannes Film Festival, including the opening movie of the festival, Woody Allen's Cafe Society.
Yeah, that's the as we were chit-chatting beforehand, it's not just the eligibility for stuff like the Oscars and stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that they're actually trying to make the theater owners happy, which I think speaks to Amazon Studios' desire to be perceived as a quote-unquote legitimate, whatever that means.
Well,
producer.
yeah, if you're trying to get your films in Cannes, yeah, there's a certain things you do to be part of Cannes but you're absolutely right. Like it puts a little bit legitimizes Amazon Studios as this sort of,
which I think is the right place.
Oh, I think it's the absolute right place, especially if you're trying to be more than just we're the guys that make television. Like no, now we're actually a content studio. We actually make quote-unquote respectable content.
Speaking of which, Vimeo is partnering with Spotlight Cinema Networks to run short films during the pre-show at several independent theaters starting last Friday. The shorts will be pulled from Vimeo's staff picks and brand studio sections. The moment I read this, I was like a match made in heaven, man.
Yeah.
Vimeo has done a fantastic job of the content creation. Their staff picks are consistently fantastic. We've seen properties get developed on Vimeo and end up on HBO.
I fully agree. Like Vimeo has always been the, if YouTube sort of the Wild West, Vimeo is very much the, you pay for it and it's very, stylized to be that. And I was like, yeah, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, if YouTube's the Wild West, Vimeo is Victorian England.
Well, it's at least they put in their service. We gear towards a movie professional. We have certain things that are tailor-made for that. And I was like really excited to see that they're starting to come out as this now curated kind of thing where you start seeing content that's there coming out into theaters, and it's like, yeah, it perfectly makes sense.
Well, and it's a great example of advertising. You only hate ads when the ads don't appeal to you, when they're not relevant to you. I always use movie trailers as an example. We voluntarily watch these ads for movies because we love watching trailers. And what Vimeo's doing is basically placing an ad for Vimeo in these theaters, but you're not going to sit there and go, crap, an ad. You're going to be like, oh, this is a great short take, and then you'll see it's from Vimeo.
Yep, totally agreed.
Yeah, I agree too. Unfortunately, my Google Docs said that I should move to a different page. Variety says that I should read this. Verizon will launch its OnQ-based TV service in one of its Fios markets later this year, possibly in Massachusetts, it sounds like. Verizon bought OnQ from Intel 2 years ago. They filed documents with the FCC about a set-top box, supposedly codenamed Mallard, and that filing mentions OnQ. Service would use the internet protocol, so it wouldn't go over its own dedicated lines. Wouldn't use QAM, in other words, which sends all the channels at once. It would be able to switch on the fly. Offer access to non-Verizon services, possibly Netflix or Hulu, and the service is separate from Verizon's mobile Go90 video service, which is what I thought they had used the OnQ team for. And they had used it partly for Go90, but apparently they didn't give up on the main OnQ product.
I'm kind of shocked to see this bubble up again. It was almost half a decade ago we first started talking about the rumors of this, and it was totally, you know, a lot of buzz around it. But how innovative can that, whatever it is, look and be nowadays?
It's not about innovative. I mean, the big thing is not sending over QAM. It's sending over IP, and that is like some major bandwidth savings. And you know, if you think about the idea that cable tech is everything blasted at every point. That's why when you're like in the old days, you could kind of, you know,
the difference between a switch and a hub.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so being able to just say, okay, you're just watching ESPN, here's the ESPN feed. Oh, you're just watching ABC, here's the ABC feed to that person. And you can really, really easily, like, quality of service control that and bandwidth. And so you save a ton of spectrum that you can use for faster IP speeds, faster download speeds, whatever.
All right.
And there's no more of this, we only have a certain amount of channels. You can offer essentially infinite channels.
Exactly.
All right, so 2 real quick ones. Let's make these super short. Last year, Hulu created the Watch List. A lot of people saw that. It combines your queue, your favorites, and your watched content all in one place. Now it is the Watch List is the default, which, to be honest, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And Netflix made season 1 of Marco Polo available in 4K and HDR as expected. More content is coming in HDR, including season 2 of Marco Polo in June. Netflix won't say what else is coming, although last week they intimated to Engadget that Daredevil would be coming out in 4K next season. You have to pay $12 a month for the 4-screen plan on Netflix in order to get access to Ultra HD.
Remember talking about Netflix offering more?
Yeah, no, it's a good start. I'm just really excited because now that it's in 4K, I can see even more detail on that one camera that I saw.
You can tell what camera it is.
Yeah, the brand. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what's under surveillance. This is the stuff we watch. Regarding Game of Thrones, David Benioff told Variety, I think we're down to our final 13 episodes after this season. We're heading into the final lap. That's the guess, though nothing is yet set in stone, but that's what we're looking at. Of course, they later told Entertainment Weekly and Variety that would mean splitting the season in 2, so 6 episodes in one and 7 in the other. HBO quickly told everyone who would listen that nothing is decided yet, because remember, these guys only wanted to do 7 seasons to begin with, and HBO keeps pushing them like, wouldn't you like to do maybe 8 or 9 or 10, or please keep the money coming in?
There's some other territory, like George R. R. Martin's The Hedge Knight takes place 1,000 years beforehand, and there was some other book as well. So it's HBO, you'll be able to mine us for a whole lot more. Just hang in there.
Well, yeah, it's the big question of, do you allow the creators to say our story is done, which is what Lost fought for to varying degrees of success depending on who you ask, and what Netflix and Amazon have all easily agreed to. And so now it's becoming a thing where it's like, well, the books only go so far, and HBO's like, yeah, but you know, you're kind of ahead of the books anyway. You can just take it off in another direction, right? Come on.
I think they'll let it end because if you've started noticing, like, a lot of the good television is given kind of the proper ending, and kind of like Breaking Bad was given like the last season to like, okay, this is where we're going to wrap it up,
and
you know?
exactly. And HBO has a chance to cement a very important brick in its legacy wall.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you got The Wire, you got Game of Thrones, 2 of hands down, bar none, no questions, the best television series in all of history.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and Benioff and Weiss are the watchers on that wall, and what they're telling HBO is our watch is about to end.
Yeah, but then HBO turns around and stabs him in a surprising twist.
It was Dragon Glass the whole time. So, Roberto Villegas, what have you been watching?
Beyond just YouTube stuff and the usual stuff. Actually, last night I finished up watching Rooster Teeth's new documentary, Connected. They've been actually making a lot of documentaries for sponsors, and it's essentially they took 2 of their sort of younger employees. I think their social media person, Barbara Dunkelman, and their live action guy, Blaine Gibson, and they basically set them for 5 days with tech from their birth year of 1989. And they saw they do their jobs and stuff like that. And it's kind of an interesting sort of look at how, you know, we're sort of way more wired than we probably should be. It's actually a really good doc. I didn't know what I was going to get into because like, it could be interesting, but it was like surprisingly like well thought out, well interesting experiment, and seeing, you know, literally gave him a beeper and an answer machine and a hamburger phone. It was so kind of funny kind of seeing the tech, but by the end they're just like noticing people just completely, you know, almost Pavlovian staring at their phones, you know.
Right on.
I love that idea. I mean, I was a sophomore in college in 1989. So I lived this experiment, but it wasn't from. I would like to try living with the year of my birth, 1970. Like, would that actually work?
Not me. You know what I like? Updated vaccines, fast service. Not. You know what I don't miss? Waiting an hour for someone who said they would be there.
I don't want to live there. I just want to. I want to like try it out. It's not like I want to spend the rest of my life in 1970, but like see what the differences are.
Fair enough.
Hey man, what have you been watching?
I'll tell you what I thought I would watch by now, but didn't. We're going to have a special edition of Spoiler in Time as you genuinely spoil me on Justified, because I totally had planned to watch it today and then got pulled into other stuff. So we will talk about it, but I'm going to have you describe it for me, and then we'll move forward. But of course, Better Call Saul and The Jungle Book as well. We'll talk about that movie. Playing a whole lot. I'm finally getting to the end of Fallout 4, and hopefully I'll have a little more free time to watch video stuff here soon.
Yeah, I mean, you sometimes seem to think that I watch television with some kind of superhuman level of attention. And the fact of the matter is, I just don't really want to play video games.
It's not that I watch more TV; it's that I play less video games.
I'm on the Brian camp. I've been playing like Bravely Second. And
Memories,
like pretty much game-wise.
I mean, plus also it's like the TV I see that I spare you guys all the children's programming that I'm now intimately familiar with right now.
But one of the things I want to mention that I watched this past weekend was The Magicians season finale. That show I thought was good at the beginning. It had some rocky bits, but it finished really strong, in my opinion. And of course, they get to fillery at the end, which is part of my favorite bit of the books. So highly recommend that if you're into fantasy. And then the Coachella live streams of live music on YouTube were fantastic this year. Super reliable, great sound. And I got to see a ton of acts. We were not the first to come up with this, but we were among the people calling it Couchella because we were just sitting on our couch, comfy at home, eating what we want and not outside where it's muddy and enjoying the music.
Paying,
it was awesome.
Absorbent prices for just, a bottle of beer or whatever.
Absolutely. So what have you been on the lookout for, producer Bryce?
Hey, we have a letter from Chris in Atlanta. He writes to let us know, this is big, you've probably seen this, Animaniacs is now on Netflix. Yeah. Chris writes, I'm a huge fan of the show. I'm also a huge fan of the Animaniacs, and I think you should let the world know that Animaniacs is finally on Netflix. I believe it is the entire run of the show, every single episode. My kids looked at me like I was a crazy weirdo when I started singing the theme song, and now they sing it too.
I can say it's not the whole run of the whole run.
Okay. He continues, Bryce, tell everyone, love your work, keep it up, Chris from Atlanta. So Netflix does have 4 volumes that are 99 half-hour episodes. There were more than 99 episodes, Roberto?
Well, no, there's a couple of like ultimately it's the volume stuff, because when you start getting Animaniacs, it gets really strange because each and every segment technically is an episode. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of like very few segments of that, because I checked and started seeing looking for some of my all-time favorite episodes of Animaniacs on there, and I didn't see a couple of them on there. So I was like, okay, it's not every one of them, but it's a good chunk of them. It'll probably have everything that you will remember.
So you were seeing some that were less than 22 minutes.
Well, not less than 22 minutes. It would just be like it was certain, because I remember this show like the back of my hand. Mm-hmm. I wasn't finding certain segments within those things of like, okay, searching there, well, that episode's not there, where's that character, like, okay. And it's very select ones. It's not anything you'll probably notice. It's still well worth it if you've not.
Hey, don't let Roberto turn you off from watching it. I say watch it anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking.
99
still zinging to the max.
Yeah, 99 seems like a good amount.
It's well worth it.
Yeah, so that is. I know that's on Netflix US. I don't know worldwide. We don't. Do you have if you know any tools to check out Netflix availability worldwide, please send that into the email, because I feel bad when I can only tell people about the US availability. But
oh yeah, you know what? I just saw, and I've used this tool a couple of times, but Scott Johnson tweeted about it earlier today. JustWatch.com has replaced Can I Stream IT for me, and it allows you to choose your country at the beginning. Now, it's not got the worldwide search that you're talking about, but that's one way to see like major countries: U.S., Germany, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, etc.
Cool. Got something we should be on the lookout for? Email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Dispatches, they come from the front, and we're going to read them now.
It's true.
How lies.
Robert writes us saying that he's not going to speak for every Canadian, but the bit about them being serious about the timeliness of watching shows and availability is at least partially true. He says he's a little more rural Canadian. He was forced to either go with satellite or antenna. One of the issues he had before cord cutting, and so did his parents, is the feeling of the lack of value with their provider. In Canada, much of the content access is controlled by a couple of companies, which are also the cable and satellite providers. What probably was the biggest issue for himself was that most of the content they were watching, maybe 80%, was available over the air, while the number of channels kept increasing, along with the price aggregate value provided to us was decreasing, causing me to look for other options. The money saved can then be distributed to better internet and streaming services. That's an interesting fact, where it's like the idea that that you could just trade for bandwidth makes it more compelling. Yeah. He says he uses an over-the-air antenna with the recording functionality along with streaming services and iTunes to allow him to watch what he wants, when he wants, when. That's all. He doesn't say anything about the devices.
Yeah, but he's only got one device. No, I'm just kidding. He's probably got lots of devices, eh? Hey, Josh wrote in and says, typically I'll find that Amazon has a new release of a movie in Blu-ray, DVD, digital combo pack for $20. Most of the new release movies on services like iTunes or Vudu seem to be at least close to $20. So to me, it makes more sense to get the physical media, register the digital copy from the box, than to try to have only the digital version. I end up with exactly the same digital version in whatever service I choose, but I also get the Blu-ray and DVD copies included basically for free. My main concern is the possibility of a service going away at some point. While iTunes, Vudu, Google Play, etc. are all probably going to be around, I feel more secure having that physical copy just in case.
We get another email from Bob, who says on a recent episode, we were talking about the ability to download shows from your subscription services, Amazon in particular. He says to check out Play On Plus. Full disclosure, I had Play On a few years ago. I bought a lifetime membership. I got off of Between You, Me, and the Wall. It might have been back when I was pirating material. But now that I don't, I haven't been using it. But it says here, I used Play On Plus to record to my PC anything that I could view on my PC. You need to subscribe, authenticate on whatever it takes to get it running in the browser. The big advantage is you can subscribe to a particular show so that every week Play On Plus will check for the latest show and automatically record it to your PC. I have recorded the entire series of Man in the High Castle from Amazon, House of Cards from Netflix, Game of Thrones from HBO Now, Interstellar, and Ex Machina from Amazon Prime. I can now view them on any damn device I want, anytime I want. There is no DRM on the recordings. I can queue up the recording to happen off hours. He says it's $30 a year or $50 per lifetime recording per recording PC. So it's per PC license. Playback device apps are free. Each recording is about a gig and 1.2 gigs an hour. You can use Windows Movie Maker to reduce the file size. He uses Handbrake. Basically, it's a DVR for your browser. Tom, I'm going to go out on a limb and suspect that maybe, just maybe, this would violate some of the terms of service.
Yeah, probably. In fact, Tom's Guide has a good wrap-up of exactly that question. It definitely is specifically prohibited by the terms of service of Netflix and Hulu. Amazon has kind of got more variable language. And the Tom's Guide goes into, the Tom's Guide article goes into whether this is really illegal to break terms of service and all that sort of thing. But yeah, they don't want you to be doing this, and they can cancel the service if they catch you doing it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Roberto, where can we get so much more of your lovely self?
Oh, I'm easy to find. Just either follow me on Twitter at Vincent404 or just head over to my content website, cosmicradio.tv. And of course, listen to my so-called 8-Bit Life and all that stuff there.
Heck yeah.
Cosmic 8-Bit TV. Go find it. Don't say he's Vincent. Don't say he's Gonzalez.
Don't
Learn
say he's
from me. This is just, at my age, if it's not written down in front of me, who knows what I'm going to say. I apologize, Roberto. Roberto Villegas, fantastic to have you back. Thank you, sir.
No, for sure.
And our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, all written down right in front of me so you know it's true. See you next time.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
Let's go.
it's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.